Hello everyone, today I'm finally going to do a proper tutorial on how to use Blender to convert a camera track to an object track. I'll show this with Camera Tracker since it's available in Nuke and in After Effects. I'll include a static shot where only the object moves and a moving shot where both the camera and the object are moving. Why are we doing this? Well, simply because these softwares do not by default come with the ability to do this. It's going to be a longer tutorial, but I want to be really clear about what I'm doing and what it's for, as I do realize that some of my tutorials are not clear and their purpose or instructions can be vague. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the common thread between both of these type of shots is you're just going to use a camera tracker and then make a mask. So if you look at my mask right here, with this method, I'm using the Cazares background matting, which makes like a really nice difference matte. So if you have ever used Difference King, yeah, that's what it's doing. But that's not the subject of today's video, so I won't go over that too much. But yeah, so this will give me a matte in which I can use to go ahead and tell Camera Tracker, hey, use this mask input. So I'm using it as a mask, and right here you see mask inverted alpha. And then we end up with this, yeah. So yeah, so that's how I went ahead and I did the camera track, and you can see that it's the same for both. So if I go over here to Star Track, this is a Luma, but I just named it Star. It's the same thing, literally the same thing, except for this one I used an actual roto, like I hand rotoed it, so you can see the roto in here. Let me go ahead and move this out of the way. Yeah, you can see this right here, that it is hand rotoed. So whatever method you need in order to get the mask, it doesn't really matter. As long as you have an alpha, you'll be able to do this. All right, so now that we have this track here, and I went ahead and solved it, all I did was I just went ahead, let me go ahead and delete that. I just went to scene and I created a new one. I turned this off because you can't write geometry with the new thing because it's in beta, I guess. But yeah, so what we'll end up with is these points here and the camera moving around it. What I'm going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and go to write geo, and then we're going to write this out. So I believe that this only works in Nuke X to write out geo, but I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've used regular Nuke to test this out. So I'm not really sure. You'll have to try it. But yeah, so we're just going to pick a place to put this. So I guess I'll go open this. All right, so I have my folder here. I'm just going to name it the shot name, camera, and then I'm going to put .abc at the end. So that's the part that matters to you. So you can name it whatever you want, but it needs the .abc at the end. Click this, and now it's going to save it to Alembic format. I'm going to change this to Ogawa. I think both work now, but just more used to using Ogawa now at this point. And yeah, I'm going to keep all of these checked, and this should be good. So we'll go ahead and execute the range. So I'm going to change this to global, hit OK. And I'm not really sure how you would export this in After Effects. Whoops. Okay, so usually when it crashes, it will work the second time. So I'll go ahead and try this one more time, and hopefully it works. So let's see if it does. Yeah, as I was saying, I don't know how to do this in After Effects because it's been a long time, but I think there's tools in After Effects to export all of the like empties or locators or whatever it was, null objects, just the same way as this, where they become empties in Blender. So whatever you need to do to get your camera and your little empties in here into Blender, just do that. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into Blender. All right, so we're in Blender, and sorry that this doesn't look like your default scene. You're gonna have a cube instead, but I don't know. So I'm just gonna delete everything anyway though. What we're gonna do is go to File, Import, and we're gonna import in our Alembic. So let me go find that real quick. All right, so I have the Alembic, and I'm gonna just do set frame range, and I don't have any of these other ones on, so yep. So now we have it in here. Let me go ahead and just save real quick. All right, so I saved, and what you're gonna see is you're gonna see your points here, hopefully, as vertices, and then, or empties, depends what exporter you use from After Effects. I'm not really sure what it does, but you should have this, and then you should have your camera. So now, if I actually go over here and I hit period, it'll take you straight to whatever selected. So I'm going to just click this green thing, which just makes this camera active, and I'm going to look through it, and you can see you can't really see anything. So I'm going to go ahead and import my footage. Now my footage is already in an image format, but if yours is not, then you'll just need to export it as a image format in order to open it in Blender, I believe. I'm not really sure if it can open videos. I usually don't try. Anyways, I'm gonna hit N and undetect UDIMs there. There we go. And so now we have our footage in here, and I believe this is correct. There we go. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that this was correct. I had to change this start to 0 and -1 because it starts on that, and I don't know, -1 seemed to work. So now we have our footage here, and as you can see, it looks right, but again, it's the camera moving and not the object. So we're gonna go ahead and change that. Now, just to clean things up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bake the action of the camera, because as you can see here, if we go to the modifiers, it's a transform cache. So Blender doesn't actually know that this object's moving. If we look at all this stuff right here, it's not even keyframed, right? That's because of this. So we want Blender to know what the data is, what its location is at every frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit spacebar, or whatever your search bar is. I'm not sure what yours is. I changed mine, so I don't know what the default is. And I'm gonna type in bake action. All right, and then I'm gonna check all of these except for clean curves, and then I'm just gonna hit OK. All right, so now you can see that it updated, and Blender knows everything about this camera, where it is on every frame. Now that we've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna unparent, clear parent, and this is so we can get rid of all these random locators that Nuke makes. So I'm gonna delete everything except for the camera and the object. All right, and then one last thing we're gonna do before we actually transform this is I'm going to make the origin point to be in the middle of the actual points instead of over here. So to do that, I'm just going to select this W, set origin to geometry, and that should set the origin to the middle of this. If you want the origin at a very specific spot, literally just click with your cursor here and move your cursor around until you like it. Like, let's say you want it down there, and then hit W, set origin to 3D cursor, and that'll change the origin to the 3D cursor instead. So I'm just going to change it back to geometry, and it'll automatically calculate the origin somewhere in the middle here. All right, so now we have most of our elements that we need in order to make this work. So we're going to go ahead and import our script. I'm going to go over to scripting and open, and this script will be in the description. Yeah, so this script is not a great script because I wrote it, but it did the job. And as you can see, I don't know Python. I had to cobble this together last year, and it was really painful, and I hated it, but it does the job. So if anyone wants to do anything better, then feel free. But so far, I have not seen a tool that does this. So as you can see right here, there's really only 4 main objects that matter. The rest of this is just code, and it does stuff with these 4 objects. So it's camera, empty, static cam, static empty. So what we're going to do is we're going to name our camera. If we hit F2, we can name it this way. I'm going to name it cam. And if we go over here, I'm going to rename this F2 to empty. And the reason that they need to be renamed is because this works on literally very specific names. So they have to be named that way. All right, and then I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to Shift D, and then just drop them in the same place that they were. And I'm going to name this static cam, so this duplicate, and this other duplicate static empty. And as you can see, we have all the ingredients we need, but last thing we need to do is we need to open static cam. We just click static cam right here. Go to the first frame, and then I'm going to go ahead and clear keyframes. All right, so all those keyframes are clear, so only one of these cameras should be moving and everything else should be still. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the first frame because everything we're doing in this tutorial is gonna be on our first frame, which for me is 43. For you, it'll be whatever it is. 1001, 1, 0, whatever it is. Just the first frame of your range. All right, so from this point on, you're gonna see why my Python is hilarious and not the best that it could be is because we're gonna deselect this with Alt-A. So nothing is selected. and we're going to run the script. And the way that this script works is you hit play and it does all the stuff necessary, and you see that it moved one frame. We need to keep clicking this. So I do not have an operator that can do this throughout the frame range because I did not have time to figure that out. So if you guys know how to do this, please let me know, but you just keep clicking play on here and it's going to keep doing what it needs to do. You don't need to click anything else. You just keep hitting the play button and it'll move one frame forward. And I'm just going to go all the way until the very end of the sequence. All right, so I clicked a little bit past, but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that for sure that I got every single section of this. So as you can see, there's some weird stuff going on. I'm going to save a new version at this point just so that if I mess something up that we can just go back. We're going to go ahead and go back to the first frame and we're going to check to make sure that this worked. And to do that, we're going to go to the cam and we're going to just hide it from the viewport. And then we're going to go to static empty, hide it from the viewport. So now we just have empty and static cam. So if we go ahead and we click the green button here to make this the main camera and we go in here, we should see that it worked. So as you can see right here that it obviously worked, but you'll see that the camera is stationary and now the object is moving. So this worked out perfectly and this is exactly what we're looking for. Now it's really that easy and you can just go ahead and run with this and use this as you need. If you want to move the camera, literally just parent this to this. Control P, keep transform. And then if you move the camera, it'll move this with it. And then you can like put it wherever you think it should go. So I don't know, do something like that, a little bit more straight on with the world and then a little bit higher and you know, and it'll just work. So from this point forward, you should know what to do. You just keep moving on. You do your CG stuff. You do whatever you want to do. Now you have your object track, which is the goal of this tutorial. Okay, but I also promised, what if you have a moving camera and a moving object? Well, let's literally do that shot right now. All right, so we went ahead and we jumped on over to this Luma shot where, as you can see, the camera and the object are both moving independently. And how do we go about this? It's really easy, actually. You're just going to want a camera track and an object track. They're both using camera tracker, so don't get confused by that. I just mean the application of it is this is camera track, this is object track. So I literally just came in here and I tracked the camera first. So I rotoed everything that should not be considered into the camera track. So everything in this foreground, that's not our scene. So I just went ahead and I did this and it gave us this. So as you can see, it's literally just a traditional camera track, no object stuff at all. And you can see the camera's just moving around and there's our scene points. All right, so now we're gonna jump on over to this side. And on this side, we literally just tracked the object. Just like before, it's just the object now. And we're ignoring anything that the camera's doing. So yeah, you're really just adding the element of also tracking the camera if it's moving. So all this means is that we're going to export two different things. The first is going to be our object track. Did the same exact thing as before. I just named it Luma, but you could also name it object track. So whatever you want to name it. The important addition to this is we come over here and I went ahead and I exported the camera now. So this is the camera track and I named it camera .abc, same thing, same settings. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and combine those and let's go ahead and jump over to Blender. All right, and for this one, we're gonna want copy attributes. So before we do anything, go to edit, preferences, add-ons, and then turn on copy attributes menu, this one right here, just click that, boom, and it should turn on. All right, so we're gonna do kind of the same thing. So we're gonna import our Alembic. Let me go ahead and just go to it. All right, so in this case, I am just importing the object track first because that's what we're familiar with. So I'm just gonna go ahead and unparent, clear parent from this. And remember for the camera, we need to bake because it only has a transform cache. So hit search, bake action, and then all of these except for the last one, hit okay. All right, so now it's there, and I'm gonna delete this extra random stuff that makes. Okay, And I'm going to go ahead and put these, make sure these are in a collection, and I'm going to name this object track. Yeah, so now that we have the object track in here, I'm going to go ahead and import the other stuff. So we're going to go import Alembic, and that's the camera track. So I'm going to go ahead and import this. All right, so it's in here. I'm going to go ahead and select all of this stuff that just came in, and I'm going to move it to hit M, new collection, and I'm going to name this the camera track. This way we can just easily separate what we're doing. And then I'm going to right click this, select hierarchy, and also move this to camera track. So now they're like different things. So if I want to just see the object track, it's here. And if I want to just see the camera track, it's there. I'm going to go ahead and hide the object track, and I'm just going to do the same thing. Like same thing as always, just Alt P, clear parent, and then bake the action of the camera. So let me do that real quick. All right. And then I'm going to get rid of all this random stuff here that we don't need. All right, so now we have all the elements we need. Let me go ahead and hide the camera track and then reopen the object track. So we're just going to do the same steps we did before. The first thing that we're going to do is to make sure that this has the origin in a place that makes sense. So I'm going to click this, hit W, set origin to geometry, or again, you could do the 3D cursor, set origin to 3D cursor, whichever you want. All right, and then I'm going to make this the active camera by just clicking this right here. And then we're going to do the same thing as before, which is to open our script. All right, so we have our script here, and then we need cam empty, static empty. So I'm going to rename the camera to cam, the object to empty, and then I'm just going to click these two, and then Shift D, duplicate, right click to put them exactly where they belong. Static cam, static empty, and then for the static cam, we want to go ahead and hit N to open up the panel and go to the first frame. Remember that, first frame. And then right click, clear keyframes on all of these. All right. And as you scroll ahead, again, you should see only one camera moving, everything else static. All right, so we go back to the first frame, hit Alt A, and now we can begin doing our script, our wonderful script again that we have to manually press every frame. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do it. All right, and again, I overshot just to make sure, like 100%. And before I do anything, I'm gonna save a new version just in case. I never know if I did something dumb. And we're gonna check this out. So I'm gonna go to the first frame, and I'm gonna hide, again, the static empty and the regular camera, and then I'm gonna click this green icon so to make this the main camera. So now we just have empty and static cam. But if I go into here, you can see we don't have our background. Let me go ahead and find our background again for this new shot and then add it in. Here we go, and then make this a 0 for me. This will be different for everyone. So remember, your start frame is the first frame in your sequence, which mine is 0. And then offset, you'll have to play with that. You really have to just look at it by eye because I don't think there's any other indicators in here. But yeah, you can see that this is matching now. Perfect. So as you can see, the camera is not moving, but the object is moving. And now, as you probably know, this is almost correct because the object is moving, which is great, and the camera's not moving anymore. But the camera in real life is actually moving back here, as you can see. So they're both moving, so we need to go ahead and solve that problem as well. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the first frame, and this is gonna be an extremely, extremely easy fix. So first, I'm gonna go ahead and go out here. I'm gonna go ahead and just turn on all of these right here, like that. That way I can just for sure turn off camera and turn off static empty. So we only have these middle two here. And then now at this point, we're on the first frame, right? First frame. And I'm gonna turn on camera track. So you can see that camera track is now on. And now all we have to do is make sure that there's no keyframes on our static cam, and there is not, right? And we're gonna parent our object track to static cam. Keep transform. There we go. So now if we move this, it's gonna move our object track along with it, right? And then what we can do is take static cam and then click our camera track down here. And then we're gonna go ahead and hit Control C, and this is where the copy attributes menu comes in. And we're gonna copy location, Control C again, copy rotation. So now they're in the same spot. And to finish this off, we're gonna hit Control P, keep transform, And there you go. You are done. And if we go ahead and look through the camera now, you will see that our scene back here is working, right? Those points are sticking and that's all working. But now the object track is also working. So there you go. You got the best of both worlds. So now you have an object track that is tracking along correctly. And then you also have the camera track, which is also working correctly. And these are all separated out elements. Now you can do whatever you want to your CG here, do whatever you want to your background, and it should track in well. So yeah, I'm very sorry that this was a longer tutorial and much slower. I know that most people like during productions don't have enough time to be watching a video this long, but I really wanted to be thorough and to really make you like understand how to do this for most skill levels. If anyone in production just wants like a quick reminder of how to do this, I can do like a fast version of this video with just the script and the most like essential items. But anyway, yeah, I hope that that was like a much more like in-depth tutorial on how to do this stuff. And hopefully I can get that transformer tutorial that some people were looking for done. It's probably like way irrelevant at this point and most people have moved on, but yeah, I will get to that. So yeah, thanks again. Bye.